Good morning, or good evening. It depends on when you're watching this video. Hope you are having a good first week of class and that your other classes are going okay. And I hope that you're able to get a copy of the book and start doing the first reading assignment, pages 3 through 19. So in this video, we're going to start diving in and going a little deeper into the topics of the book. And what you will be learning is the two major ways that we can attempt to persuade someone of something. Okay, so that's what I plan for you to get out of this video. First, though, let's review what we went over in that last Zoom session. We talked about logic. Okay, and now what is logic? And we discussed various definitions. And so try to remember, what was our official class definition of logic? So pause and try to remember what that was. Okay, I'm supposing you had time to kind of try to think. It's good to try to recall. It helps you memorize things. Logic is the study of good, of good and bad reasoning. Okay, logic is the study of good and bad reasoning. And in the example during our Zoom discussion, we talked about our friend Sally, who we think should break up with her boyfriend. And we went through various good reasonings that Sally should break up with her boyfriend and bad reasonings that Sally should break up with her boyfriend. So now, what we want to do is try to persuade Sally of things. And we want to use logic. But there's another way of trying to persuade people. So let's talk about the two ways of trying that we can use to persuade people. So ways to persuade. Okay. Now, a lot of you should know this from having done the reading. There's going to be two ways. One is to use logic, but there's another way. And I'm going to go ahead and tell you what that is. It's on page 7. It is, and you should be able to say this, it is rhetoric. Okay, rhetoric. What makes something rhetoric is you're not actually using reasons, okay, like when you're using logic. What, according to the book definition, here's my simplified version of what's in the book. It's not by reasons, okay, and this is what the book focuses on, by the power of words. Okay? Whereas with argument, you're going to use reasons. Okay, so let's discuss that distinction a little bit, and I'm going to talk through some of the various examples in the book. On page 8, you have Martin Luther King's I Have a Dream speech, and it's a very famous speech. It's a powerful speech where Martin Luther King is, I have a dream that one day, and he starts speaking. And as he speaks, you find yourself being persuasive of things. Okay? But notice when King is going through the speech, he's not actually giving arguments for his claims. He's more giving the claims and trying to get you to just feel and see that they're true. Okay? In that case, he's not using an argument. Let me give another example of rhetoric. In general, poetry, when someone's using poetry, they're using the power of words and trying to get you to be persuaded of a certain claim by using poetry. Here's another example of rhetoric that we saw a lot last year and even this year. Protests. In general, protests alone are rhetorical. They're using rhetoric rather than argument. And what they do is they're just kind of repeating some claim. Protest. No taxation without representation. No taxation without representation. Okay, that's kind of an old school United States one, with the Boston Tea Party and all that. Um, but more recently, just claims like these are more recent ones from the last couple of years, like claims like Black Lives Matter or Stop the Steal, right? Like having some way of speaking where you just kind of repeat a claim and try to move people to agree with you. Okay, that's rhetoric, and typically protests work that way, where people are just repeating. Okay, so it could be poetry, it could be repetition, it could be like raising your voice and speaking out loud. Now, any of those could be transferred and turned into argument and reasons. So you could start supporting your claims about Black Lives Matter, Stop the Steal, or no taxation without representation. You could give arguments, and then from there you shifted from rhetoric to argument. Okay, so that's our two ways to persuade, and we'll move on in the next video.